Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this episode number 40, How to Build the Startup Culture. If you don't know me, my name is Dilnawaz. I'm the founder of Codesign Labs and PowerDeck, and this is basically my Saturday night live stream. So, welcome to AM with DNK Saturday night live stream. This is episode number 40, How to Build a Startup Culture. For all those who do not know me, my name is Dilnawaz, and I'm the founder of Codesign Labs and PowerDeck. I have been a very active member of Indian startup ecosystem from past 10 years. I've also been on the jury for National Startup Awards. My full-time job is to work with startup founders and help them with multiple things, right? So this what you're witnessing today is basically my weekly Saturday night live show called AM with DNK. It's a weekly show where I come online, talk about startups, talk about entrepreneurship, and talk about the world of business. Talk about a topic that basically will help you and I become a better entrepreneur. And of course, this is the time. This is an opportunity for you to ask me any question about your startup, about the business, about ecosystem, and I will try and answer as many questions as possible. So if you have to ask the question, all you have to do is you have to go to the YouTube channel of mine. The link is in the bio, and you have to basically drop the question in the live chat. A few people have already started joining in. So I am currently streaming live both on Clubhouse, and I am also streaming live on YouTube channel. So if you have joined me on Clubhouse, thank you so much for tuning in. I can assure you the next half an hour, it's a very limited time session. The next half an hour will be really fun, and it will be a great learning session for all of you. If you, my friends, have joined me on the YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in on this Saturday night live stream, right? What is the topic for today? So in this session, we'll be talking about three critical important parameters. The number one is importance of startup culture in the journey of a startup. Now, a lot of people and a lot of conversations in general have are happening about uh, you know uh, uh, product market fit, product development, hiring a co-founder, funding, pitching. These are the obvious questions that happen in the startup ecosystem, but rarely people talk about the culture. And startup culture, startup mindset, all of these things are very different than the corporate culture, corporate mindset. And technically, trust me, I've been an entrepreneur for almost 10 years now. They lay as a foundation, they become the foundation of your business. So startup culture is something to be spoken about, to be incorporated into your business. So basically, we will be talking about importance of startup culture in the journey of your startup, success, failure, everything, right? Second, we'll be talking about why it is important for you to build the right startup culture. It is very important to build the right startup culture. So we'll also be speaking about what is the right startup culture. And third, and the most important critical thing, we will be speaking a bit about startup culture in post COVID era, right? So we'll be talking about that. Summarizing everything, we'll be speaking about importance of startup journey. Importance of startup culture in the journey of the startup, importance of startup culture in building the right startup, and also startup culture in post COVID era, right? We'll be speaking about this. So if you are joining me for the first time, please make sure you like the video and you subscribe to the channel. If you're joining me on Clubhouse, please make sure you give me a follow, and you give me a follow on other social media platforms as well. And please make sure that if you're excited for today's session, you like the video, subscribe the channel. When you like the video, the YouTube algorithm tells people that basically this is the content worth watching, and if you subscribe, that will be a great support to me. If you want to see the presentation live for Clubhouse people, I'm repeating once again, this session is parallel streaming live on my YouTube channel. If you want to see the presentation, and if you have any questions to ask, what you can do is you can simply go to my Instagram bio link and come to the YouTube channel. The first Linktree link is of the YouTube live. So if you want to see the presentation that I'm doing today, if you have any questions, the YouTube live chat is open. You can come there, and if you have any if you don't have any questions, if you just want to sit back, relax, enjoy, listen to the conversation, you can be on Clubhouse. So it is also streaming on YouTube as well, right? And of course, if you want to stay in touch, make sure you follow me on Instagram, make sure you follow me on LinkedIn, make sure you follow me on other platforms as well. All the handles, all the links are on the YouTube description or are in my Insta bio and my Linktree bio. You can access them from there, right? And what is in for you? As always, if you have any questions during the conversation, maybe related to the topic, maybe not related to the topic, maybe any questions about your startup, about your business, about funding, about pitching, anything, any questions you have about the startup, please make sure you send me those questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer those. So once again, Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me, and let's get started. The first topic, the first point I want to talk to you is, who is this session for? Because this is something I always want to talk, I always want to speak about, that why should you even be listening to this conversation, and why, what is in there for you, right? So, this session today is number one for existing entrepreneurs. If you are already running a company, if you're already an entrepreneur, if you're already a startup founder, this session will be like a master class for you. I will be able to give you basic information on how to build a startup culture, or maybe you can use this as a blueprint for developing your own startup culture. Second is, if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, my friend, this will give you the guideline and at least give you a head start on thinking of building a startup culture. When you're building a startup, the difficulty or the tough thing is that you never talk about developing a culture. Your focus is funding, your focus is product, your focus is team members, and so on and so forth. But I will tell you how important, how critical the culture is to stay afloat. So second is, if you're thinking to build a startup, this session is for you. And last but not the least, if you are a traditional business owner, the businesses are going under a huge transformation in today's world, and it is not the time, the era is has gone wherein the regular routine businesses could have been done, right? People expect a new culture in businesses as well. So if you are somebody who's a traditional business owner, who's a owner of a traditional business, this will give you at least again the basic blueprint to get started, right? So let me begin with the first point of the day, which is, culture eats strategy for breakfast. There's a very famous quote, rather I think there's a book on this topic, which is called as Culture Eats Strategy for Breakfast. Now what do we mean by that? We mean that culture of your company will always determine the success, regardless of how effective your strategy may be. It is not the strategy that will make your company win, it is the culture. Because ultimately, strategy is implemented by people, culture is by people, your company, your startup is by people. So culture of a company will always determine, will always make sure whether your company, whether a startup, whether a business will be successful or not. So let me repeat once again: culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture of a company always determines success, regardless of how effective your strategy maybe may not be, right? So no matter how detailed and solid your strategy is, it is the people that execute that strategy. And if the people are not in a great mindset, if you don't have a great culture, and if the culture is not nurturing, not supporting, not empowering them, you are bound to fail, right? Let me repeat this once again for each one of you, so that you understand very very carefully. No matter how detailed and solid your strategy is, it is the people that execute it. And if the strategy, if the culture is not nurturing, not supporting, not transparent, if they don't feel valued, you are bound to fail, right? So if I have to give you a broader idea about the culture, a great culture is not anti performance, or it does not mean it makes people lazy. Rather, a great culture, it fuels performance and accelerates strategy, right? Great culture fuels performance and accelerated strategy. Take a screenshot of this slide, note it down somewhere, because this is something which will act as the foundation stone for your business. A great culture will fuel performance and accelerate strategy, and I cannot tell you how important therefore the great culture is, right? In fact, if you are a first time founder, if you are into very very early stage, if you plan to do a startup, if you're very early into the game, I also have a suggested watch for you. Go back and watch the episode number 22 of AMA with DNK, Developing Startup Mindset. A great startup mindset plus a great culture will help you not only become a successful company, but will help you to be a rock star startup founder. And I can assure you that. So make sure all of these things are checkmarked in your checklist, right? So again, before I jump further, before I start talking about what is a startup culture, right? Let me quickly reiterate once again for each one of you. I'm really, really thankful for all those who have joined me on YouTube live today. I'm also doing a presentation here. I'm also picking up the questions. All those who have joined me on the Clubhouse today, for you, this is more of the audio experience. If you want to see the presentation that I'm doing, if you also have any questions, all you have to do, people in the Clubhouse, all you have to do is go to my Instagram Linktree link, and you have to click on the first link to come onto the YouTube live. live. If you want to see the presentation, join on the YouTube live. If you have any questions, this is the AMA session. If you have any questions about startup idea, funding, pitching, strategy, entrepreneurship, come on my YouTube live. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Or sit back, relax, enjoy the audio format on the Clubhouse. And for YouTube people, make sure you utilize the live chat well. All right. So what is a startup culture, right? So startup culture, typically what we see in the movies and we see generally out there, startup culture is not about a big office or a free food or happy hours or parties or no set office hours. We see this something, we have this perception of having something cool. But let me assure you, at least from my 10, 12 experience of running multiple businesses, uh, startup, what people see from outside is only tip of the iceberg, right? The cool factor, the motivation factor, the factor of doing something glamorous is only 1% or 2% or tip of the iceberg, right? Ideally, startup is the hustle bustle, the pain you go through every day, and the struggle you go through every day in order to solve the problem. Everything happens the back end. That's a startup. Of course, there are advantages of building a company. There's a beauty of being a startup entrepreneur. It gives you recognition, it gives you money, it helps you to become a millionaire. But these are long-term outcomes, right? So culture is not, my friends, understand, culture is not a big office, it's not free food, it's not happy hours, it's not parties, it's not like there's no set office hours. Ideally, listen to this very, very carefully. Culture is how people behave when shit hits the fan, not literally, right? Culture is how people behave when shit hits the fan. When things go south, when things go haywire, when COVID hits the world, when pandemic hits the world, when the company is about to fail, how do people behave? How do you behave as a founder? How your co-founders behave? How your team members behave? That is basically ideally a culture for any startup. And if you understand this, I can assure you, as I said, this will be like a master class for you to build a startup culture. This will give you all the basic information, all the blueprint, so that you can go out there and start building a culture. So basically, a startup culture is a workplace environment that values creating problem that values creative problem solving, open communication, flat hierarchy. Now, this is one definition I picked up from the internet. To be honest, let me admit it, this is one definition I picked up from the internet. And if you Google startup culture, there'll be hundreds of definition. Just like in my branding session, as I said, just like there's no defined definition for branding, just like there's no defined definition for marketing, there's no defined definition for startup culture or culture in general, right? This is one definition that you see on the screen, but let me admit it, there's no one definition, and every startup therefore can make their own definition. Culture is a very fluid thing, it's a very flexible thing, and you as an entrepreneur, you as a founder, can define your own startup culture. Now let's quickly talk about importance of startup culture, why startup culture is important, right? So for you, if you are into very, very early stage, I hope you will correlate with these lines. And if you correlate with these lines, please give me a reaction in chat and let me know that this makes sense to you. When you are into very early stage, you can't pay your employees well. You don't have money. You are trying to compete with corporates in this brutal world where you don't have money. The only resource that attracts people in general out there, and I'll talk more in more depth, you can't pay people enough. You don't have money. So money is not the factor that basically will attract the talent, right? Second, your office hours, your work-life balance, everything will go for a toss. I know I work almost 7 days a week. My team works at weird hours. There's no rule like a 9 p.m. or a 9 a.m. rule. There's nothing like that. In fact, in post-COVID world, in post-COVID era, this entire thing has gone for a toss, right? The from the moment we have started remote working, I see people craving more that there are not no defined office hours. But forget the corporate world. In startup, if right from the beginning, I ran a company which is 100% remote, right? It's a company that has been 100% remote from past 5 years. There are no office hours, and it's not like that it's a bad culture or toxic culture. It is just that there's so much of hustle bustle going that there'll be no office hours, and office hours will be at all over the place. Last but not least, the third point, there's no set model of getting things done. Unlike a corporate where things are streamlined, things are defined, there are SOPs for getting things done, and you have so many people to take advice from. In a startup, you wake up every day, you figure out things every day, and you execute every day. Now, I'm not against creating SOPs. I'm not against creating systems and process. In fact, most of the startups fail because they don't have system and process. I'm not talking about that. But understand, in general also, there's no set structure, there's no set model. And I can tell you, even I'm a very big fan, or I'm a very big advocate of the same. I'll tell you the reason why. Most of my learning, most of the things that I know as an entrepreneur, what made me a better entrepreneur, what taught to me in my previous organization that used to work like a startup, right? It was an incubator, but it used to work like a startup. And we had such a strong startup culture embedded into our entire working method that it made me a better entrepreneur eventually. The problem with the corporate is, the problem with the set model is that there's no scope to learn. You can't experiment, you can't go out of the comfort zone, you have to do what you're supposed to do, and you can't really go here, there, everywhere. But if you are in a startup, you can do literally everything. You can pick and choose your role. You can go from one stream to another. You can jump back and forth, and therefore the opportunity to learn is infinite, right? So there is no set model. Right now, what are the critical components of a startup culture? Now, this is where I think you should rather start taking notes, because you should know what are the very, very critical components of startup culture. And maybe you can use one or six or five or 10. You can combine all of them together and make your own culture. You can define your own culture, right? So again, before I jump onto talking about this, if you have joined me today on the YouTube live, please make sure you maybe like the video, subscribe the channel, and also please make sure, if you have any questions, you leave your questions in the comments below, in the live chat, so that I can start answering them. If you join me on Clubhouse, thank you so much for joining me on Clubhouse. You are listening to this streamed on Clubhouse. And if what you can also do is, if you have any questions, or if you want to see the presentation, you can go onto my YouTube channel. This is streaming live. You can come via Instagram link. All right. So you can join from there. And if you have any questions, you can come on, join on YouTube live. All right. Right now, the next topic, as I said, is components of culture, right? So in this module, in this next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I will not talk about, or I'll not give you a comparison of startup culture versus corporate culture. I think enough has already been said on that, enough has already been written on that. And it's a very unfair thing, rather, in my opinion, to compare, because I don't come from a corporate background. So I can't tell you more details on how the corporate culture is like. But broadly, we'll be talking about what are the critical important components of culture. And on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, you see these are at least the things I think. Personally, I believe that these are a few things that will help you to create a rock solid startup culture. Number one is a shared mission, right? When you are a startup, when you're a small company, it is or rather, it's good that you make sure you create a shared mission. You tell your team what you're supposed to do. In fact, there's a Y Combinator video that talks about that everybody should be able to resonate with the problem. I kind of don't agree with the format, because not everybody will resonate with the problem. Because if you are, whatever stage you're working at, you're trying to solve your own problems, or the data set of that own problem, right? But if there's a one big goal out there, if there's a one big mission out there that everybody is focusing towards, which acts as a north star, which acts as a common goal, you can always define a shared mission. And the vision has to be tangible. It can be maybe acquiring from 10 customers to 500 employees to whatever, 100 clients, or anything. There has to be a single mission which has to be laid out. There has to be a single mission. In fact, a lot of people come and ask me, how do we recruit employees, how do we find employees, how do we find people who are a right fit for a startup? Understand this. And this also comes as a answer, that you have to find people who are passionate. Now, passion does not have any definition. This shared mission and shared vision will help you to lay out the passion. So when you're hiring employee, when you're hiring a person, of course, other than the skill set, you have to make sure what attitude he has, and does that person has an inclination towards your mission and vision. If there's no inclination towards the mission and vision, and if that guy is only coming for the brand or the money, that guy in the early stage is not a great fit. This mission, this vision should motivate your employees to make sure that they take care of the operations, they take care of the things when things go bad. So there has to be a defined mission, there has to be a defined vision. Make sure your team knows about it. These are the two parameters of creating the culture. Then of course you have to have a shared set of values, something that you stand for. Now these values can be anything. They can be transparency, they can be empathy, they can be open culture, they can be anything. For example, in my company, the kind of culture we have, we at least have the culture that people can come and talk to the founders about anything, whether it is something happening in their family to their personal life. We have a very, very open culture, and it is very important. So you have to create a set of values that people know what we stand for. And if you have those set of values defined, basically people will feel more connected. They will have more belonging for the organization, and not the other way around. See, understand, uh, startup or business is all about people, and I'll come on to that in a bit, right? So business is of course based on the business model, so and other things related, but the company is run by employees, company is run by people, business is run by people. So shared mission, shared vision, shared set of values. Now define best practices. A lot of companies, it can be as simple as a one pager, right? Define what are the best practices for your company, what is the expectation from employees, what is the expectation from the founders, what are the common timings, anything that help you to optimize the entire operations, and define the culture, rather define best practices. Two things which are missing in most of the startups is support system and reward system. Now what are these? Especially in a remote working environment, when everybody is working individual, and when mental health has become such an important topic, and when people are going through tough times, support system is very, very important. If you do not have a open culture, transparent culture in your team, in your startup, it will be very difficult for people to seek support. Now as I said, it can be anything. It can be not being in the right mood, to maybe going through a breakup, to maybe not having a fight with the parents, or maybe in general not being happy. There has to be a support system well defined in a company, so that your employees get the feeling of belonging, right? People spend more time with their colleagues than their parents on their other friends, right? So therefore this support system is very, very critical and very, very important. And last but not least, reward system. There has to be some reward system, so that basically everybody feels that they have contributed to the system. One of the very big frustration that I see in most of the startup employees, in fact corporate employees, but also the startup employees whose company has now grown to a very, very big level, that they don't feel like that what they do is creating an impact. If you go and talk to anybody, every person wants to create an impact, and that is the first thing when I talk to startup founders or anybody. They're like, we want to do something big, we want to create something, we want to create an impact. The problem with that thing is there's no tangible matrix to find it, right? So therefore you should have a reward system, you should have a tracking system that basically even rewards people, but also shows them that what they are doing is contributing to the bigger picture, right? If you put all these things, six things right: shared mission, shared vision, shared set of values and best practices, support system, reward system, you will be able to create a phenomenal startup culture out there. A few of the examples are very, very obvious. We have flat hierarchy in the company, so that the transparency and openness can happen. We have open offices, we had the culture of town halls. So all of these things, any which is used to happen. But the point I'm trying to make here is that this was a post COVID world, this was a post pandemic world. Now when you're working from home, you are a startup, you are sitting in a silo, it is very, very important to redefine your startup culture. And if you're not define your startup culture, so that your employees get the feeling of belonging, right? Now I cannot emphasize enough, as I said, on your screen, if you see, business is people. You have to understand that business is not a great business model. Business is not a great financial model. These are basically the things that are implemented by the team. Business is people, your co-founder, your team, your employees, your customer. These are the people who define and create a business, right? So you have to make sure that people get the sense of belonging, people get the sense of responsibility, people get the sense of that they are a part of something, right? Now on your screen, if you see, take a snapshot of this line once again. Make sure you read this line very very carefully. Being a brand, being a startup, if you are $1 million company, brand will attract people to come and become a part of you or be a part of you, but it's a culture that will make them stay. Nobody wants a toxic environment. I'm sure, and let me know in the comments if you agree with me. Most of the and this is one of the very common quotations that you see on the internet, that people don't leave organizations, they leave bad bosses. Now, who's a bad boss? A bad boss is basically the part of a bad culture, right? So you also need to put up a system that there are no bad bosses, because if you give the right comfort to people, people are willing to work on a pay cut, people are willing to work on less salaries. What people are not willing to work on is under a bad boss where they don't feel appreciated, where they don't feel they're a part of good, right? So brand will attract people, but culture will make them stay. I cannot emphasize it enough, right? And on your screen, if you see, this is the reason why all of these awards exist, right? People's Company Award, Great Place to Work, Fortune 100 places to work. This is the reason why all of these awards are given to companies, because they want to show that we are a great organization to work. These are a few factors that basically promotes and push a great culture, right? I cannot emphasize enough how important is it, right? Now what I will quickly do is, on this again, once I will ask you to take a pause, I'll rather take a quick pause, and what I'll do is I'll again reiterate everything, reset everything for the people on Clubhouse. And for you, this is the last bit of today's conversation. So if you have any questions, you can start asking your questions. All right, folks. So this is what I'll talk about is my company's culture. And this is the last bit for the session today. So if you've already joined me on YouTube, thank you so much. I hope you are enjoying a session up till now. If you have joined me on Clubhouse, this session is also streaming live on YouTube. For Clubhouse people, all you have to do is you have to go to my YouTube, go to my Instagram bio, and there's a Linktree link there. You have to click on that link and jump onto the live YouTube. On the YouTube, I'm taking questions from people. If you have any questions, feel free to come onto YouTube and drop in your question. And if you want to see the presentation, you can also see the presentation running on YouTube Live. And for the folks on YouTube, thank you so much for joining. And please make sure you start dropping your questions. No, if you have any questions, as I said, if you have any questions about startups, pitching, funding, fundraising, entrepreneurship, you want to be a startup founder, any questions, please make sure to drop your questions so that I can start picking them up, because in next 5 to 7 minutes, we will wrap today's conversation, right? So what is my company's culture? I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. My current company is 5 years old. We are 100% remote company from this date, right? What is the culture I want to create? Number one thing that I very, very strongly believe is empathy, right? You have to make sure that you have a right set of empathy for your employees. And in fact, in my team, in my company, we don't even use the word employees consciously, right? And let me put it up on record. We don't use the word employees. I use the word team or colleague, and that is how you create a flat organization. They are working with me, they're my team, they're not my slaves or my servants, right? So of course, employer word have multiple definitions, but I like to address them as my team rather than my employees, right? Although I'm the founder of the company. So empathy is very important. We don't do pay cuts if you have real serious reason. Of course, there's a payout structure in the company, but we try not to do pay cuts. We try and make sure that we understand what they're going through, so that we at least don't hurt them from the money side of the game. Second, we have a very very trust culture in the organization. We have a very strong accountability culture in the organization. So there is no monitoring system in the company to monitor where our team members are and what they're doing. Until and unless you deliver, I literally don't care, my team literally does not care where are you working from, what you are working and at what time you are working on. I literally don't care, because I know I'm not myself disciplined into that aspect. I work at weird hours, right? So trust is another very strong pillar of my team's culture, wherein we go by the delivery and not by when do it. I literally don't care. My team literally does not care. There's no monitoring system in place. So there's no monitoring system at all, period, zero. Right? You have to make sure, folks, that your people feel valued. You have to make sure that you trust them first and not the other way around. See, when you put in a monitoring system or you put in system like that, you by default tell them subconsciously that, hey, I don't trust you. And the moment you begin the relation with I don't trust you, they will not trust you back. So you have to let your guards down and tell them, hey buddy, I trust you completely, and you take your sweet time. And also the third and the very important thing is, I allow them to fail. I know my team is not perfect. I know my team is into very early stage. I know they're learning. A lot of times people do not perform because they're scared to fail. And there's a lot of videos, a lot of YouTube videos you'll find online which talk about why people procrastinate, and this is one of the reasons, right? You do not want to do something because you are scared of getting failed. And once you fail, you will get thrashing from your founder or thrashing from your boss, right? And this subconsciously stops you from experimenting and trying new things out, which is a very, very bad thing. So please make sure you have a culture of letting your employees fail. Now, there's a difference between trying something new and failing and committing stupid, silly mistakes. And even if they're making mistakes, everybody can make mistakes. You have to understand whether these are intentionally made mistakes, these are the mistakes which they're doing because of laziness or lack of attention, or these are genuinely made mistakes. You have to give them that breathing space also. So empathy, trust, and allowing them to fail are the part of the culture, are part of the system that we go by. You have to make sure, I want to summarize everything, you have to make sure they feel valued. You have to make sure that they feel they're contributing to something big. You have to make sure that they feel they're heard. And you have to most importantly make sure they feel protected. If they don't feel all these things, it will be very, very, very difficult for you to build a very strong foundation team, because culture propagates. The biggest point here is culture propagates. It is the first core team. See, there's a reason why we call something as a core team and something as just a team. It is your core team that will push forward the culture in the next set of employees or in the next set of team members. If you are a high growing startup, you start with 5 people, and within like 6 months or 1 year you have 20 people, and within another 2 years you have 60 to 100 people. If you are a really, really high growing startup, this culture has to drip down, this culture has to propagate. And if your first set of employees, your core team, does not understand this, it will be very difficult for you, and eventually you will be just another company with hefty pay packages but a bad culture where people just come for appraisals. That is all you'll be able to create, and you will not be able to create a successful example. A few examples I want to give you about things we do, right? A few of them are physical, monetary, visual. A few of them are purely bonding exercises that we do as a part of our team culture, and I hope this helps. So if you don't know about what I do, I run two companies, Codesign Labs and PowerDeck. Codesign Labs basically is a design ops company where we work with startup founders, enterprises, multiple other businesses, and help them scale their design operations. And how do we help them? We help them with the help of a freelancer. I'm just quoting this to you because when we started this company, what happened is that when we spoke with so many freelancers, this is a very, very big problem, that freelancers do not feel wanted, because a lot of companies use them as a resource and a tool and not value them as people, right? So the first thing we eradicated when we started this culture of gifting and acknowledging everyone. So we do something called the freelancer of the month, where we give a shout out to that person on our newsletter. We also give them gifts every Diwali and New Year. We also gift our employees, because understand, we are a remote team. And in a lot of cases, when you are a remote team, the family of your employee might not feel that they are a part of something big, or they're doing something great. So we gift all of our employees, and we make sure that they receive stuff on a regular basis, so that they feel something belonging. Now this gift can be as little as a 500 rupee voucher, right? Who's asking you to gift a MacBook. So this can be anything. You can create a system where you gift your employees something, right? Second is we have, and this is something we have very very recently started, is revenue based compensation plan. So other than fixed salary, what we've also done is we have put in a revenue or a compensation component for everybody in the organization, no matter whether you're in operations, whether you're in sales, whether you're in back end technology. Everybody has a revenue based compensation plan. That means that if company grows, you grow monetary with it, right? It can be as little as possible, because I know a lot of people will not understand that how what are the other expenses a company would have to make. But make sure, the idea is, make sure your people, your employees, your team members feel that when the company is growing, they are also the part of the growth, and they're contributing towards it, and in return they're also being rewarded, right? Team bonding lunches. So bonding exercises are a very very important part, and these are just the tip of the iceberg I'm talking about. These are a few things I'm talking about which we do. Maybe you can go elaborate, search on the internet, and you can do more, right? So we do these bonding exercises because it's again 100% remote team. We are a, let me tell you, if you don't know about this, we are a women led, women majority, multi city, multicultural, multilinguistic team, right? My co-founder is a woman, right? Majority, 60% of our employees in the company are women. Most of them, in fact, most of these women are work from home mothers, and they are full-time moms who are working in an organization on this full-time position. They juggle between the two, and our team is spread across the country. We have people in Bangalore, we have people in Chennai, we have people in Delhi, we have people in Jaipur. So the point is, there has to be some sort of a bonding activity, bonding exercise that gives them a feeling of belonging. We make sure we do that, right? Another thing, shout out. If you cannot give anything to anybody, right, we give a shout out to our freelancers, we give a shout out to our employees, we give the shout out to our team members in monthly newsletters. Now why it is important is because if you can't compensate them monetarily, if you can't give them anything physical, at least a word of appreciation is very very important. Rather, it is very very important to be vocal, right? When you tell your team member that, hey, you've done a great job, it is a very big appreciation. I see so many startup founders, I see so many companies where people not even appreciate what people are doing for them, right? So give a shout out, tell people that, hey, you've done a great job. And last but not the least, and the last bit from today's conversation, is 100% upskilling compensation. We promote a culture of learning, and we are a very very big believer and a firm advocate of upskilling, right? Startup or life is a journey of endless learning, endless failure, endless relearning, right? And we want to make sure that, if nothing else, we want to compensate our employees for the upskilling part, and we encourage learning in our organization. So if you want to learn any course, anything, you can tell us and we will pay for the course, right? These are a few things that I hope will give you some sort of a benchmark, will give you some sort of understanding for building your own startup culture, right? So that was it from my side, folks. I think we're at a 40-minute mark. We typically close it at a 60-minute mark. What we will do now is, I will either quickly read out your comments, or what I'll do is we will then move towards the Q&A. That was more or less from my side. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any follow-on questions about the things I spoke about, please make sure you start and let me know that in the live chat. And I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. I hope you learned something new, because this will act as at least the base for building or enabling you to build the startup culture in your organization. All right, so thank you so much for everybody who has joined me today on YouTube. And if you are listening to me on Clubhouse, you can come to YouTube to ask your questions. All you have to do is go to my Instagram bio and click the first link on the Linktree link. All right, that is all you do. The video and the presentation is live on YouTube, and on Clubhouse we're simply streaming the audio, right? Okay, so let me quickly now read the comments. So Mantosh, it's a great pleasure to listen you real issues. Mantosh, thank you so much. Harsh is here. Mukul says the best time of the week. Okay, all right, thank you, Mukul. Sandesh says culture is bigger than strategy. Mahak has a very nice question. Mahak, thank you so much. Watched almost all episodes of yours. Where have you been all this time? Glad I jumped here. Kudos to you, sir. Mahak, really appreciate. Thank you so much. I really like when people comment back and show me all this love. I really feel honored. Please make sure you comment this on the video comment as well. Spread the word. Tell the world that we are trying to do something for the Indian startup ecosystem. I really appreciate your comment. I really genuinely thank you for this. Right. Mukul's question, the question number one for the day. What's your take on work from home? Will it stay here for long? And what if companies start forcing their employees to work from home? See, so Mukul, if I talk from the company point of view, see, work from home is a great strategy, because I think one of the biggest expense the companies have to, or rather had to do, was primarily on office infrastructure and rental. So now office infra and rental is out of the window, and therefore the companies are saving huge costs. In fact, I'll not take any names, but I've seen even multinational corporates also giving up on their offices and starting a pure work from home culture. But the only problem with work from home is, other than not having defined office hours, the bigger problem with work from home is that you can't do team building and bonding exercises, and you don't that get feel of working in office. People miss those water cooler conversations. So I'm sure there'll be something called the hybrid working environment going ahead, where it will be like a floating office, but with a few days work from home and a few days work from office kind of a model. It will not be 100% work from home, because it is very difficult, and not everybody can work from home, right? It is in India, if you look, only 2 to 5% people have a luxury to work from home. Rest everybody has to kind of go to office or a factory or is in manufacturing, right? So work from home will be here, will stay. Work from home is a part of a culture now, especially in the Indian ecosystem. It's a part of the culture. But going forward, post pandemic world, it will be a hybrid model that will be there, and not just a 100% work from home. I hope, Mukul, that answers your question. All right. Santosh has a comment. If we give freedom to employees, more amount of work is done. Absolutely, Santosh. I can tell you, if you promote, see, uh, you will be, as a founder, you will be able to figure out if your employee is trying to cheat you or not. And if you can't do that, you should not be building a startup. Sorry. So the point is, you have to make sure that they feel valued. The freedom is not that you are allowing them not to do anything. The freedom is you're allowing them to work at their own pace. You're giving them the breathing space. Most of the companies don't even do that. So you should give your employees freedom to work, give them bandwidth. You should not be pestering them, and basically you should make them feel that you are there to back them up. See, I, as a founder, very strongly believe, and I've been vocal about it so many times. Your employees, your team members do not work for you. As a startup founder, you work for them, right? And if this thing makes sense to you, if this thing goes into your mind, I think the entire culture will flip around. If you are a founder, don't think that they work for you. You work from them. Work from that angle, think from that side, and I'm sure, I can assure you, you will be able to build a fantastic startup culture in your company, a fantastic culture in your company, right? So Sandesh, thank you so much for the comment, right? The next question is from Sandesh. Anybody with a question, jump onto my YouTube. Anybody with a question, please type that in the YouTube live chat. For all those who are listening on Clubhouse, if you don't know how to access YouTube channel, where to come on YouTube, please make sure you go to my Instagram bio, and you can jump from the Instagram bio link to my YouTube live. And please make sure, if you're listening to me on Clubhouse, you please make sure you give me a follow. I host these rooms multiple times. I sit in pitch rooms. And if you are listening on YouTube, please make sure you like and subscribe the channel. That means a lot to me. That tells me that you really appreciate the kind of work I'm doing. Next question from Sandesh. Can you suggest any team bonding activity which can be done remotely? See, the simplest activity is team lunches. Start doing that. So you can definitely start with the team lunches, and then the second is you can put in a few water cooler hours. Now, what is a water cooler hour? Water cooler hour is basically when your employees sit together and talk without an agenda. You can also do that. So you can put in team lunches, And when I say team lunches, and I'll tell you when, how do we do team lunches? Team lunches does not mean that your employees pay for the food. You pay for the food, right? So we pay to our employees for their meal of the day, right? So you pay to them for the meal, and the meal is on the company, right? So it is team lunch. You should be you doing that. Maybe you can put in some games also as a part of it. In fact, when we do, we also encourage their families to join, because it's a very good bonding activity. And then, of course, you can have water cooler hours where there's no set agenda. People can just simply sit across the table and talk on any random damn topic. That's it. So these are a few activities you can begin with, and then you can search on the internet. You'll find as like many different activities, right? Chinmay has a very interesting question: how to handle toxic employees. Chinmay, in one line, fire them. That's it. You don't have to handle any toxic person, whether it is your toxic boss or toxic employee or toxic relationship. Fire them from your life. You can't handle toxic people. A lot of people ask me, how do you handle toxic people? I simply run away. See, toxic people will take away so much of energy, so much of technically so much of energy and peace from your life, that it will become very difficult for you to do anything. So technically the bottom line is, you can't see. And when you say toxic, it means that they're really toxic. It does not mean that they don't have a skill set. It does not mean they are not ready to work. It does not mean that they have some sort of a shortcoming. These are separate things. But toxic ka matlab hai, they are there to spoil the culture. They play shitty politics, they play office politics. If you have somebody like that, please make sure you fire them. That is the only way. You remove them. That is only the way you can build a great culture company. Last question is from Prasoon. Prasoon, thank you so much for coming in, and I'm really sorry I was not able to speak to you from a few days. I have been my days have been crazy, but let's connect sometime tomorrow. You have my number, so feel free to call me. And thank you so much for tuning in, Prasoon. Really appreciate that. What will be your approach to address internal politics happening in the team? Might be due to personal team, might be due to their personal of the work issues. So Prasoon, this has to be, I want to learn more about this. I think you might have to elaborate, because there's no flat answer to it, right? My approach would be, I would want to sit with people, understand everything deeply, and figure out why the politics is happening, or what is the politics all about. uh, I would, and the only thing that can combat this is empathy, uh, and transparency and openness. But again, office politics is a very subjective matter, so I don't have an upfront answer to that. See, there are some answers which we can't give, in black and white, or without knowing the entire context. So to be honest, and to kind of not give an answer which might be counter to somebody else, I would say I will have to deeply understand and look at this entire issue, so that I can give you a relevant advice or right advice. But initially, the only way or the only approach is talk to your team members, have a empathetic approach, try and figure out if you can solve anything for them, and see if you can reduce the amount of complexity in the entire issue. This is my broad idea, or a broad guideline. Ankit has the next question: how can I make my company secretary firm as a hybrid startup model for exponential growth? Because we guys are not allowed to advertise our work. Please tell me some hacks, tricks for CS firm. So Ankit, see, I'm sure you guys are not allowed advertising, but you guys can always come and talk about the value you guys bring on the table, right? I don't think no anybody's stopping you from doing it, right? So I know so many tax consultants, lawyers, service providers who go to platforms like Clubhouse, who go to platforms like YouTube. They conduct YouTube lives, they do Instagram lives. I know, as a service provider, because what you do is what falls basically in the category of of a service provider. Service provider is a very price sensitive and very crowded market, but you can always create a long term niche, or you can always create a long term brand image if you show your visibility more and more to people, right? So start a YouTube channel, start a content journey. Rather, I would very strongly recommend, in fact I can show this to you. If you go and watch my last 3 episodes of my YouTube videos, I'll quickly give you a glimpse of it. Give me a second. So see on the screen, if you see, right? uh, uh, Episode number 38, startups and creator economy. Episode number 37, building a personal brand. Episode number 36, creator economy and influencer marketing. And episode number 35, everything about audio platforms. Ankit, go and watch these 4 videos. Personal brand कैसे बनाते हैं, creator economy कैसे बनाते हैं, content कैसे बनाते हैं, business के लिए content कैसे बनाते हैं. Go and watch these. And again, what I'm telling you might be a very cliched advice, but this is the only way forward. When you go ahead, I can assure you, I cannot emphasize it enough. In 5 years, it's the personal brand, it's the creator economy, it's the creator brand that will take over everything. So please make sure you start working on that. More than happy to support you, help you. DM me on Insta. More than happy to answer any further questions. Or if you have any questions, please write it here. But so this is a platform for asking questions. Write it here, or maybe you can talk to me one on one. But please, before you even think of talking to me, please make sure you watch all these videos. I'll again repeat: episode number 35, everything about audio platforms; episode number 36, creator economy and influencer marketing; episode number 37, building a personal brand; episode number 38, create startups and creator economy. Go and watch them, and I'll tell you the entire content blueprint and opportunities in this space will be in front of you, Ankit. So I hope this answers your question, Ankit. Over to Mukul. How can we retain the interns at the product building phase when we don't have much money to share as salaries initially? So Ankit, sorry, so Mukul, don't pay interns the money. That is my philosophy. I know a lot of people counter this, that you should always pay. I'm not against not paying people. If you have money, if you have some money, pay the interns. But as an intern, your focus of working for an organization should not be money. If you as an intern are working for a company because of money, then you are compromising on a lot of things. Either you are really really good, either you as a professional, either you are so crazy and so amazing that you can do freelance, then you don't need an internship. But if you are going to a company to learn, money should not be an objective initially. In fact, technically, money should never be an objective for you, especially when you are in the early stage of your career. It is the learning, because learning will compound, guys. Learning will compound. I see so many guys stuck into this money loop, and I'm not against anybody. Trust me, I'm not against anybody who is going after money because of the financial problem of the family. That's a different discussion altogether. But if you have an opportunity to learn, learning should be a focus as an intern and not the money. So technically, interns should not be paid. If you can't pay them, an intern should also not come for money. Intern should come to learn, because I can tell you what interns and what other side of the spectrum does not see, that you as a startup, startup founder, or a person whosoever you are, you will be putting in so much of time, so much of energy on these people that they do not even they technically they can't even pay you back for. I can tell you that, right? Mukul has a follow-on question, but without money, it seems they don't have driving force. So Mukul, that is what I'm telling you. If the money is the benchmark, they're not a right fit for you. Screw them. Trust me. If an intern has the objective of only the money, then he's not the right intern for you. He should rather be an employee. Then pay him the money, hire him full time, set his KRAs, set his KPIs, and make sure he delivers. Interns should never be motivated. I know there's a strange debate online which is going on, that why don't we people pay interns. I have interned so much time, and I still do so much of work for free. This I'm doing for free. Do you think this is free advice? I do this session every Saturday 9:15 p.m. on my YouTube channel diligently. This is the free advice to the world. Imagine if this could have been done in a one-on-one format, and I charge for my time. I hope you understand that, right? So I do this purely to give back. Therefore, you should not be doing everything for money. Money is an outcome. Money should not be the driving force. If the money is the driving force, boss, you're missing something big in your life. Trust me, you're missing the motivation. I hope that makes sense, Mukul. All right. So next is Ravi Midda. I'm a big fan of DNK. So simply explained. Ravi Midda, thank you so much. These are the comments. This is my currency. Mukul, if you can now correlate, this is my currency. When I do this, and even 5 people watch, and 2 people appreciate, and they take out the real value from this is what feeds me. I'm not here for money. I'm not here to monetize. I'm not here for anything. I'm here for the comments like this. If I'm able to bring a change just in 2 people's life, if my advice works for even 2 people, because there are a lot of young entrepreneurs, a lot of students who can't afford my consultation. So I do this for everybody. And that is the thing. This is a public forum for everybody. Come and ask me. I'm here for you. I'm here to serve you. That is the objective. And what Ravi says, I appreciate what you guys, when you come and watch and comment like this. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Sandesh has a comment. LORs, intern certificates, create value in intern's life without. Yes, absolutely. Letter of intent, internship certificates, some sort of a compensation, some sort of a reward. But anything which is materialistic is always an outcome. Understand that, folks. The primary objective of interning should be learning. Period. If you want to intern, and I know the culture is so that a lot of colleges make it compulsory for you to do internships, and therefore you want you're a demotivated, uneducated, unaware intern, and that's why you think money is the only thing. You can take away so much from a company which is technically priceless as an intern, right? Internship is a great way to network. I have worked so much time for free for people just because I saw that I have a learning opportunity, right? So yeah, these all are absolutely, you know, outcomes. Prashant has a comment. Good evening. I've attended a wonderful session of pitch deck by Mr. Dilnawaz sir, which was yesterday and today. Prashant, thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate you came from the session which happened this morning. So thank you so much for tuning in here. All right, folks. So we don't have any more questions. We are at a 58:22 mark. We are almost at a 60-minute mark. So we will close the session. So allow me to give the closure note. All right. So first of all, thank you so much everybody for tuning in onto this session, this episode of AIM with DNK. This was episode number 40th. I'm super excited. Can't really tell you how excited I am. So this was episode number 40th on how to build a startup culture. I do this AIM with DNK session every Saturday 9:15 p.m. on YouTube Live, and I also host it parallelly on Clubhouse. We are streaming on Clubhouse. If you want to watch the video, if you want to watch the presentation, the YouTube video will stay. The Clubhouse will of course be gone. So if you want to watch the video, if you want to watch the presentation, if you want to watch the repeat telecast, all you have to do is, if you are listening to me in Clubhouse, all you have to do is go to my Instagram bio. Please make sure you go and follow me on Instagram as well. And in the link in the bio, you will find a link tree link wherein you will find the link of my YouTube live and other relevant links also. So go to Instagram, follow me Instagram, and you can also find all the relevant links on Instagram as well. Please make sure you do that on Clubhouse and make sure you give me a follow. I would really appreciate that. All those who are already on YouTube and have put in comments and have made this session work, please make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you go and watch other videos, and I can assure you they will be really beneficial for you if you are an Indian startup founder into very early stage. If you want to know anything else, feel free to hit me on LinkedIn and feel free to hit me on Instagram. And otherwise, I'll see you hanging around in other random Clubhouse rooms. And one quick last announcement for everybody. uh, 3rd of July is when we finish first year of this YouTube channel officially. So if any of you want to be the part of my video series, please DM in Insta and let me know that you want to be a part of my 42nd episode, which will be like a conversational episode where I'll bring all of you. So please make sure you hit me on Instagram and drop a comment there and let me know you want to be a part of that. I will ask my team to bring you on the stage. All right. So we will be very soon releasing out a few things, and I'm looking forward for the anniversary episode. So that is all from my side. Umang has a comment. I don't remember you. I don't know you remember or not. You were there in Ideathon 2.0 held in MIT. My idea came second. Thank you, sir. Umang, I don't remember you consciously, but thank you so much. I appreciate you dropping in here and commenting. These are the comments that means a lot to me. So really appreciate. Thank you so much. So on that note, folks, thank you so much. Take care of yourself. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. I hope you enjoyed the session today. Go and watch other videos. Please make sure to do that and like the videos, like the channel, subscribe the channel. And I hope to see you around. Feel free to follow me on other social media networks and social media platforms as well. Be in touch, stay in touch, stay blessed. Take care of your health, take care of family, and I will see you around. Take care. Bye bye. Have a great weekend. Good night.